Today's International Women's Day, and we've been doing this our third year in a row, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. So we're extremely excited to see all of you here. Today is just an exciting day for me. It's almost like celebrating a birthday or a Christmas because that's how much work it takes to put this into it. But then I enjoy it so much, and just seeing everybody here really brings so much joy to me, and it makes all the hard work so much worth it. So International Women's Day theme this year is Inspire Inclusion. And as I look around the room, I see a lot more male colleagues in here, and I'm so happy to see that. Because as I know that we can't do this unless we do it together, and we, women, already know how wonderful we are, so we don't need to continue to pump ourselves up, right? We need our colleagues in this room to be able to further support us and be good stewards to us. So thank you guys for being brave enough to show up today. So, because it's Inspire Inclusion, we inspire others to understand and value women's inclusion. We forge a better world. And when women themselves are inspired to be included, there's a sense of belonging, resilience, and empowerment. Today we come together to commemorate International Women's Day, an occasion that recognizes the individual contributions of women across the globe. As we mark this day, it's essential to acknowledge the progress we've made while also recognizing the challenges that remain. Throughout history, women have made significant strides in various fields, contributing to advancements in science, arts, politics, automotive, and beyond. Their resilience and determination have enriched our societies and inspired future generations. As we observe International Women's Day, let us reaffirm our commitment to gender equality. Let us work towards creating inclusive environments where everyone, regardless of gender, can thrive and succeed. This requires us to challenge stereotypes, advocate for policies that promote equal rights, and support initiatives that empower women economically and socially. Together we can build a more equitable world where every individual has the opportunity to fulfill their potential, regardless of gender. Let us forge a future where gender equality is not just an aspiration, but a reality for all. By the way, my personal assistant, ChatGPT, helped me write this. So before we get too far in today, I definitely want to give thanks to every single person and vendor and everything that it took to make today possible. But this would not be remote what it is today without the support of our CEO, Nick Price. So thank you very much for supporting us, actually encouraging us to do this, so thank you. And while Savannah and Katie, my partners that we started this with, are not here, they're supporting us from afar, and I miss them very dearly. But they're so excited. I told them I was going to send them a lot of pictures. So I have my personal photographer somewhere here in the room, and since I am a teenage mom, it's my duty to embarrass her. So Kaylee, where are you at? Say hi. Sorry. I got two teenagers. I got a 13 and a 14-year-old, so I get to play with them a little bit. I want to acknowledge Jorge, our space manager here at Polestar Marin, for hosting us. He was voluntold that we were going to have the meeting here. He didn't know what he was signing up for, but he helped make all this happen. We were literally pushing that P3 that you see over there in that corner. It was right here, and we had to push it on 4 floor jacks to get it over there. So I want to thank Paige. I know Nick already gave her a shout out, but every single detail that you see here would not be possible without Paige. So thank you. And I want to thank our planning committee because, you know, we started the planning calls with this vision and this idea of what we wanted today to look like. And it was all possible because of everything that the phone calls and the ideas that flowed because of this. So thank you to the planning committee. And then lastly, I want to thank the village at Corte Madera for allowing us to be in this space. By the way, they're so excited that we brought almost 200 people to the mall. So I'm not saying go shopping after this. Don't go back and tell your bosses that Diana said it's okay to go shopping, but there is going to be some discounts today. And then last but not least, I need to thank our sponsors because without our sponsors, this event would not be what it is today. So first I want to start off by acknowledging our gold sponsors. And when I call you, if you can give us, if you're in the room, give us a little yell so we can acknowledge you. Auto Hub, they're not here. Auto Trader, woo! Car Gurus, Chase, Toyota, Polestar, and Volvo. I think I heard a louder for Volvo. Okay, so our silver sponsors, Bank of America, Bite Size, there you are, C4, not here, CDK, the Marin IJ, Cars.com, and then we have our bronze sponsors, which are Caltex, Takahashi Automotive, Dealer Tire, close your ears, Nick, Redwood Credit Union. So there's some swag bags in front of you. Hopefully you enjoy all the goodies that are in there. They're also by our sponsors and our vendors. So, all right, let's get going. So the agenda for today is we have a panel discussion. We'll do a quick 10-minute break in between while we transition to our second part of the meeting. We have Laura Weldy here from Southern California, actually. She's a career coach, and she's going to talk to us about how to become a high-potential employee. And then we'll have lunch catered by Boca, and we'll have it in the courtyard. And we have a beautiful sunny day today, so you'll get some sun. So before I introduce our panel, we came up with this idea of doing a panel a little bit different this year because one of the themes this year is Inspire Inclusion. And so I think about my own personal career journey and how many male mentors I had. And so we wanted to acknowledge all of the men that have been in our automotive career that have either been there when we needed them or encouraged us to keep going when we wanted to give up. So I thought it's so relevant to bring two men that are in the industry that have been in a lot of women's careers, journeys, stories, right? So we'll get to hear from them. And then we have two women that have amazing career journey stories in automotive. So we'll get to hear from them. And then without further ado, let me bring up our panelists. So I'll start off with introducing our COO, Brad Barnett. Come on up. Have you sit. Thank you. And then we have Carol Kitts, General Manager of Volkswagen of Fairfield. And then we got Justin Legrand Logan, VP of Business Development, Fairfield Auto. And last but not least, we've got Monique Siska, Senior Product Specialist at Techion. She worked with us over at Toyota Marin too. Yes. All right, let's get started. So the first question I'm going to ask for everyone is if you could please share your career journey in automotive and how you got to where you are today. Brad, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I don't know how much time we have. I want to be conscious of that. So
just give us the good stuff.
Yeah, thanks so much, first of all. So I, like a lot of guys in my position, started as a lot tech at a Ford store. I went and applied at a Ford dealership at 16 years old. So I was the kid you handed your little pink slip to when you picked your car from service, and then I ran to the lot and got it and turned your air conditioning on. That was the start. And then from there, I journeyed through, got promoted to the body shop, started selling cars at a Toyota dealership in Houston, Texas called Sterling McCall when I was 19, and just progressed from there. Got my first opportunity to be a general manager at a Toyota store in Arizona, and got my first minority partnership opportunity at a Toyota dealership in Oakland, California, and then was fortunate enough after many years to come and join the Price family dealerships and open Toyota Walnut Creek in 2017. So, and now I guess I'm the COO.
You are the CEO.
And my kids call me Master Coup, so they make fun of me for it. So.
Carol.
Hey, that's loud. Okay, is that better? Yeah. Very better. Okay. I started in a auto parts store, and I was recruited by my first mentor to sales cars at a Champion Kia store. So I gave it a try when I was 19 years old. I'm originally from Colombia, so my accent, that's wrong. I saw cars for a few years, transitioned over to a Toyota store. Market crashed in 2008, and I needed something more stable for my family, so I transitioned to the service side of things, became a service advisor, really enjoyed that side of the business, eventually moved my way up to an assistant service manager and eventually a service manager. I wanted to try something different in my career, so I joined X-Time with Cox Automotive. I was a dealer performance specialist for them. I managed about 200 dealerships. Champ Automotive Group was one of the groups that I managed with them, and was soon to be one of my mentors there, recruited me to come work for Champ Automotive as a corporate trainer. I made that change, eventually moved my way up to FX Operations Director for the Champ Automotive Group. We went from 3 stores to 11 stores, and was able to successfully create a business development center that managed the cars for all the stores. And I was ready for my next step, so I told them I don't know what's next, but I want to continue growing. So they put me through GM school. We opened our Volkswagen in Fairfield a year ago, and I moved from Colorado to California to open the store. So I've been here for a year now, just being general manager.
Amazing.
All right, can everybody hear me? All right. My name is Justin LeGrand Logan. I actually started my career with the Price Family Dealership Group at the Ford dealership over in Fairfield with Nick Price on the sales floor. Mo was my general sales manager at the time. Mo UBR is the GM of Mercedes-Benz of Fairfield, so a lot of familiar faces and family here in the room right now. Worked with the organization for about 12 years, just kind of going up through the variable. Tom and Adam at the time actually sponsored me to go through the NADA Academy in Tysons Corner, Virginia. My ambition was very well known in the organization from the day one. Had an opportunity to meet with both of them and said, hey, I'm not looking to be a salesperson or a career sales manager or GM. I want to be an owner and operator. So what does that path look like? And I still have the piece of paper that we wrote that down on that said it's about a 10 to 12 year plan. And right about 12 years, I hit that mark. Opened up a store in BMW in Fairfield right at 12 years in 2021 with my father and the Champ Automotive family. We've since opened another dealership, Volkswagen, last year, and we're opening Audi this year. So a lot of cool things happening. I've actually started the path of stepping out on my own and creating a separate organization that I'll be 100% owner of and working on my first couple of acquisitions right now as we speak.
Hi, everybody. So my journey started as an office assistant, and it was supposed to be a summer job. And that summer job turned into a full-time career. Went from office assistant to the parts manager needed an assistant, needed a paper pusher, and I was happy to take that position. And from there, I just learned to love parts. Never intended to stay in parts. Was supposed to go to college and start my college career, but landed in parts, and my parts manager was not afraid to teach me. And I was eager to learn. And so was offered a parts manager position. Shockingly, to my surprise, my manager offered this to me, and I blindly accepted, had no idea of what I was getting myself into. From there, I worked as a parts manager, then parts director, and that was actually with the Price family way back when. took another position up in Marin at Toyota Marin. It was actually Volvo Toyota Marin at the time. So ran those 2 stores, separated those 2 stores, was there for about 15 years, maybe a little bit more. And I needed to spend some time with my family. My commute was just a little too much. It was about an hour and 20 minutes to go about 15 miles, and I was losing my mind a little. And so I started consulting and was able to continue that consulting career with the Price family, spent some time in their stores. And then that's where the company that I'm working for now found me within that consulting, and that's Techion. We're a new DMS company that is making some waves in the industry. And I'm one of the senior product specialists at Techion, and loving what I do and leading the troops through hundreds of dealerships, not just the few that I was able to reach as a consultant.
So Monique, we'll stay with you. Reflecting on your career journey so far, what are some challenges or obstacles you've encountered?
Great question. I think what sticks out to me the most is in the beginning of my career. It was in the early 90s, and women were not in the automotive industry. And if they were the receptionist or in the office, and that's where we were categorized. When I started working the parts counter, I'd answer the phone, thank you for calling Dodge of Ceremony. This is Monique, how can I help you? Parts, please. This is the parts department, how can I help you? I need parts. Yes, I understand that. I'm in parts and I can help you. I need to talk to one of the guys. Okay. The guys are busy. I can help you. And that was one of my biggest struggles, was earning or showing the men in the industry that a female could do this. When I knew that I could do this, that I had the withhold to make this, was I had helped a customer, and it was for like a 1972 Omni CV boots. And back then it was these big books that you lug up and you put on the counter and you flip through the pages and you look for the part that you're looking for. And I sold this shop the part and went on my way. A couple days later, get a phone call, and the guy on the phone was, I need to talk to the girl. The girl got me the wrong part. And I sunk. I was just like, oh gosh. I failed. So the senior counterman picked up the book, looked in, it's like, the girl got you the right part. Are you sure you gave the girl the right information? And so from then on, I was like, yeah, I got this. Like, I don't need to listen to you men that weren't open, but mind you, many men were open to having a female in the industry. But it was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge to be recognized in the industry.
Thank you, Monique. I'd like to ask the same question for Carol. Reflecting on your career journey so far, what are some challenges or obstacles you've encountered?
I would say it's the first time I became a service manager. I transitioned from being a Toyota for 10 years to service manager at a Nissan store. And the day that I walked in, I had 4 people walked out because I was a female service manager. So it was one of those things that I was like, okay, like this is going to be challenging, So it was a lot of work. I felt like I had to prove myself 10 times harder to show them, what I was capable of, that I was knowledgeable, that, I had been in the industry, that I knew what it was going to take to get us where we needed to be. When I took over that store, they were on the bottom of the district on NPS, and they were losing a lot of money. At the time, I was known for maintaining a high score on NPS and CSI where I work. So fast forward a year, I spent a lot of time, building relationships with my technicians, service advisors, the parts team, showing them the way that I believe that there was a better way to do things, why there was a better way, showing them the results up until they believe in me, believe what we could do. And after 1 year, we were #1 in the district on NPS, and we went up 10% in sales. So to them, it was one of those things of, we actually did this together. But it was a very challenging year too. I would say the first 6 months, it was really wondering if I have what it takes to make it happen.
Thank you for sharing. So I know Brad and Justin have, mentored or been a part of many women's career journeys. So I'll ask Brad, how do you strike a balance between providing guidance and allowing your mentees to learn through their own experiences and mistakes?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we talk about that a lot with the ladies that are working on what they're doing. And I think the key is I allow them to do what they want to do. I make them make decisions for themselves. I give guidance and I'll offer feedback, but the first question I'm always going to ask is, what do you think? What do you want to do? What's going to work best? Let's roll through it. And I really do that with anyone, and allow them to go through that conversation of, well, hey, here's what I think is going to work best. And then I'm like, do it. And I'll find that, a lot of times, like I'm mentoring somebody now who I'm training to replace me. And I'll get I get a lot of coming back and saying, well, should I do it like this or should I do it like that? And I'm like, you got it. You got it. And just constantly encouraging her to make that decision and make that choice and then be comfortable with it, whether it's going to win or whether it's not, if she's going to succeed or if she's going to fail, it's all good. Just make that decision, do the best job you can. And I love it when the results are good and she gets a smile on her face or they get a smile on her face, Ozzy gets a smile on her face because they win. And they know they won because they made the decision and it was their idea, not mine.
I actually hate it when you ask me that question. What would you do? Can't you just give me the answer?
It's also easy because a lot of times I just don't know. So I'm like, you're way smarter than me, so what do you want to do?
Justin, can you share a particularly rewarding or impactful mentoring experience you've had and what made it memorable?
I would say I'll start, present company here. So Carol is a rock star. She did a phenomenal job with the shop organization. And I think one of the things as leaders that we're always trying to do is just have an eye for talent. Do we have the skill set within us to just recognize someone who's raised their hand either intentionally or raising their hand through their work ethic and the product that they're putting forth? And I saw that as soon as I got introduced to the shop organization, that this person's a rock star. So as we're growing with this organization, we want to build these dealerships in California. If there's somebody that I would like to have on the team in California, it would be her. And I think the first conversations we had were about, what do you want to do next? What's the next step in your career path? Is that a corporate path with shop? Is it a chance in a store as a general manager? And through those conversations, she then took the ball. She went out and talked to the people on the shop side and said, hey, I'd like to go to NCM and do the GM Academy. Got herself in position with enough time before we opened the Volkswagen dealership, and she was the clear choice. Her reputation within Fairfield with the team that she had already come out and helped me open the BMW store spoke for itself. All the work that she did with the shop organization spoke for itself. And then to Brad's point, it's just, how do you want this thing to work? How can I help support you? What's the next step? What are your ideas? Let's bounce them off of each other. And one of the core values we have in our organization is to be collaborative. And she's a partner. I may be a mentor, she may be a mentee, but she's entirely my partner in this. And so we work extremely hard and communicating with each other, and everything that she does is her idea. And like Brad said, she's the smartest person in the room when the two of us are in the room. So I just kind of sit back.
Thank you, Justin. Carol, can I ask can you share a past experience where mentorship or guidance has positively impacted your personal or professional development?
Yes, I think when I was trying to make my decision on what I wanted to do next in my career, so as a fixed ops director with the Champagne Group, I love fixed ops, but I was trying to figure out what's next. Is this what I want to do, or do I want to eventually grow to be a general manager or be on the corporate side of things? I love fixed ops. Fixed ops is my passion. So I was a little, concerned about is being a general manager really going to make me happy, or do I want to do fixed ops, which is my passion? At the time, one of my mentors that have been with Sean through my entire career. Michael Dunlap had a sit down with me and just really helped me break down, both sides. If you're on the corporate side, what would you do? If you were actually to be a GM, what would you do in that scenario? Something I love to do is grow people and, give them the opportunity to get to the next level. And I felt that being a general manager, I would have that opportunity to really impact more, with my own team, creating my own team, showing them how to get to the next level. I have had multiple conversations with different mentors, Justin, Michael, and that allowed me to really, take the decision of, doing what I needed to do to get myself to the next level, being a general manager.
Amazing. Monique, how do you handle feedback and constructive criticism, and how do you plan to incorporate that into your personal growth?
So I usually try to take it with very open arms. If somebody is willing enough to share with me, then I always try to have an open mind, be it maybe it rubs you a little bit wrong, because sometimes it may. But being able to take it all in, because we're never perfect, and we may like to think that we're perfect. But taking that criticism, constructive criticism, and making yourself better. And I think business-wise and personal, you send a big message how you take that criticism. And so being able to take it, to the personal level, I show my daughter, trying to show her, people will have their opinion, people will criticize you positively and negatively, and it's how do you respond to this? You completely have control over that, and trying to make it completely positive, even if it could be a little bit negative.
Absolutely. Carol, can I ask you the same question? How do you handle feedback and constructive criticism?
I think, this is one where I learned it the hard way when I was 19 years old, when I started my first sales career. I made a mistake, and my general manager had a question me about it, and I took it very personal. I was very hard on myself. But, he was one of my first mentors in my career, and the discussion he had with me was, you need to be able to take the feedback, learn from it, and move on. You need to be able to understand, look at the situation. What could you have done differently? What can you learn from it? And then move on from it. It's in the past, it is what it is. That's probably one of the most valuable, advice that I was given. I think now, anytime I receive feedback or constructive feedback on anything, I sit back and think about it. What is this teaching me? What's the lesson from here? And then I try to take that and pass it on to anybody that I talk to as well. Or if I see that it's someone that's struggling with taking constructive feedback, I have the conversation with them on don't take it personal. This is the only way that you grow. If you don't know what you're doing wrong, you don't know how to grow, how to get to the next level.
You both make it sound so easy. I still struggle with that. Brad, what were your mentees' qualities that stood out to you?
Anytime like when Justin was talking about, you look for people that excel and have potential. And, when I look and see somebody who's disciplined and driven and, has a desire to succeed and wants to grow, follows through on commitments, but also has the humility and demonstrates an ability to connect with people and be, the type of leader that people want to have. Those are things that I look for. And when you see it and they want it, or even if they know they don't want it yet, one day they will. It's good to just foster that. And those are the qualities I look for.
That's beautiful. Justin, can I ask you the same question? What were your mentees' qualities that stood out?
Yeah, I think for me it was some of the things that maybe don't show up on the scoreboard. I have a big basketball background. I always look at players and say, okay, yeah, you can see who's putting points on the board, who's putting rebounds on the board, but who's hustling, who dove for that loose ball, who deflected that pass, so to speak. And Carol has a lot of those intangible things that don't necessarily show up on the scoreboard unless you're looking for them. Attention to detail, timeliness, effective communication. She already talked about her care for people, and thinking about future leaders in our organization. I think that was the one that stood out the most, was someone who actually cared for people, both customers and employees, who had a passion for seeing people grow, a passion for supporting people. I mean, that was the role that I met her in, was supporting me in opening a brand new store. We interviewed every single technician, service advisor, parts manager, service manager candidate together, between being in California and in Colorado on Zoom or in person. So I got a lot of time to just kind of watch her engage with people. And, it clicked very quickly that this is someone who, and I've told this, hope I don't embarrass her, but, one, she could be a general manager. She could easily be a dealer principal. She could own multiple dealerships. So, the path for her is limitless. And so I'm just happy to be a part of the journey right now.
Thank you. Carol, may I ask, describe your leadership style and how you lead others.
I lead by example. I think, when you're in a position where people are looking up to you, they're always watching. Even when nobody's watching, somebody's watching, right? And I want people to know that, any decision that I make, I always put all my thoughts and intentions into it. Even if it's a simple decision, I want to make sure I make the right decisions by my team, for my team. So leading by example is my leadership style.
Beautiful. And Monique, may I ask you the same question as well? Describe your leadership style and how you lead others.
Very similar to Carol's. Lead by example. Get out there, show the team, by example, what it takes. And again, like Carol said, somebody's always watching you. So, leading, showing that, being the positive role model, always trying to be positive in leading, and allowing those to make their mistakes and to learn from their mistakes and to tutor them on their mistakes and not to make them feel bad, I guess, because nobody learns in that way. It just makes you go down a darker hole. So it's a learning experience. So yeah, lead by example is the way I do it.
Great. Brad, how do you navigate discussions around sensitive topics such as imposter syndrome, workplace discrimination, or work-life balance?
Yeah, that's a big question. A couple parts there. The one thing I would say that I think is important is talking about like the work environment. I think that providing, it doesn't just happen when you're coaching somebody through how to deal with a difficult situation. It starts us as leaders long before that with creating a culture that is welcoming to having diversity in the workplace. And so that when those situations arise, it's not like we're going, oh, this all of a sudden comes up, now we need to go address it. It's this, everybody knows that this is who we are and what we stand for. I mean, I'm a father of 4 girls and, and I'm married, and like my goal in the store is to create an environment where every woman would feel inclusive in that environment. And if they don't, then I'm doing something wrong. And so, starting with that culture that allows for, that to happen and flourish, I think is super important so that people can, express their best selves, especially not be nervous or intimidated to do it. I hate stories about, male-dominated industries where it's like hard to break into that. Like that's, I can remember many years ago, I think that, women watching my wife in her work field and the potential that she had and how amazing she was, and the fact that she was so talented, but they didn't figure out a way to accommodate her having kids, right, and starting a family. I was like, that's a huge miss on their part. And so I think providing for that opportunity in the store is super important, however we have to do it. And the imposter syndrome thing, like, we all face that, right? Like it's funny, I'm like in a new role now where I'm going, am I good enough? Right? I say that every day, right? So I have a, unique ability to do certain things, but obviously there's a lot of people way more smarter than me. But just encouraging, that you are enough, right? Same thing the message I would give to my 4 daughters, like you can do anything you want to do if you put your heart to it, and you are enough. So
That's beautiful. You're a good girl, Dad. And I'm using this word a little loosely right now, but I've been using this but I've been using this word of girl boss. I've said this word to a few people in this room, that you're such a good girl boss. And I'd say I'd relate that to our industry, right? I want to ask the same question for Justin as well. How do you handle those sensitive topics?
I think now it continues to evolve. I'm also a girl dad. I have three little girls, and the oldest always asks me, "Hey, Daddy, you going to the dealership?" She loves coming to the dealership. She's been in all of them before they opened, and have great pictures, and I have great vision of her being a part of this thing as it continues to grow. I think the other part is just my background. I've been blessed to be surrounded by so many just dominant, impactful women. My mom is a phenomenal woman. She went back and got her PhD from Penn. Just graduated last year, and she's not young. She's still very young at heart and everything, but she went back and got it done. I have a couple doctors in my family. My mom and her sorority sisters were some of the first collegiate basketball players, Division I, to earn scholarships. So knowing that women can do anything, and they do anything, and a lot of times they're doing it better than some of my male counterparts. So when I look around and I look for opportunities and talent, I don't even think about, is this a woman or is it a man? This is a rock star or is it not a rock star? And, going back to Carol's a rock star. We put her application up against several other candidates. You get these resumes, and unfortunately, because of the state of where the industry is, 90% of them are men. And that 10% was Carol, and she kicked ass. So, that's pretty straightforward. In terms of the conversations, one of the things I believe we learned it in the training with Mark Wright. We asked for permission to have conversations. We asked to be candid up front. Can I have this conversation with you? Do I have your permission to speak freely and to have, just whatever adult conversation we need to have, accountability conversations we need to have. And I don't coach or lead or train differently because someone's a man or a woman. We operate with radical transparency. If this is the numbers and these are the benchmarks and this is the KPIs, there's no skewing it because of gender. You either hit this benchmark or you didn't. You're either performing or you're not. And when you are, we're going to celebrate you. We're going to recognize you publicly. I'm going to show my appreciation. And when we're not, we're going to have a private conversation about what we need to do together to get you to the next part. And back to the earlier conversation, it's a question. What do you think you need to do? What do you see when you look at this? And that critical thinking component is always there, and it makes that person even stronger the next time. And they start to come to us with the suggestions. Hey, I see that I'm off pace, but this is what we're going to do. Or I recognize that this is the trend, and here's what I think we should do next. Or we should move advertising this way, or marketing spend this way, or this person's underperforming, and I need to put them on a performance improvement plan. So those ideas start to flow and come to me as opposed to me having to seek them out.
Great. I want to actually ask the same question for Carol and Monique, because in our leadership roles, we also have to have those sensitive conversations. So how do you navigate those sensitive conversations? We'll start with Monique first.
Excuse me. So the sensitive conversations, luckily I haven't had to have too many of those in my recent role, so that's fantastic. But I guess being on the female side, we do have to be conscious also of speaking to males and females, but really there is no difference for that for me. No.
Perfect. Carol, how about you?
I think when having sensitive conversations, I just like to make sure that regardless of who I'm talking to, we understand exactly what we're talking about, and that we're going off of facts and data, whatever the case may be, versus feelings or emotions, right? I want to make sure that I'm being direct in a way that there is no room for misunderstanding on what I'm trying to get across.
Amazing. Carol, who or what inspired or motivated you to step up and be a leader?
My kids. So I have a 19-year-old boy and a 21-year-old daughter, and they're my everything. I do absolutely everything for them. I think I've been I was a young mom to with them, and they grew up in the car business with me. So making sure that I can provide everything to them, and not just financially, but for them to know what they can do and what they're capable of, and how far they can get in life, and that I'm there to support them. That's all.
Beautiful. Monique, can I ask you the same question? Who or what inspired you to, or motivated you to step up and be a leader?
That would be my father. My father was definitely a promoter of women in the industry. He was also in automotive industry, and he had that vision early on. And he instilled that in me at a very young age. So my father was the one who definitely pushed and made me who I am today.
Beautiful. Let me ask Brad, in what ways do you encourage your mentees to step outside of their comfort zones and pursue growth opportunities?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that a lot of times the things that are in specifically we're talking about, women and excelling in what they do. I think that a lot of things that hold them back are that maybe the fear, I don't want to call it fear, but just the trepidation about I'm raising a family. The car business is typically a lot of hours. Can I do this, right? And just encouraging them that they, I do think that they possess unique qualities to what I have, that they're able to get more done in a shorter period of time, to be very transparent. And so, Ozzy can come in and clean up a weekend's finance stuff in a matter of a few hours, and I'm like, it would take anybody else a lot longer to do that. And so just encouraging them that you can get this done and you can still have balance, and we will support your, obviously the most important thing in your life, which is raising your family and being a great mom, but also at the same time, you can do both. You can have all of this and change the trajectory of your family's lifestyle by the impactfulness that the car business can have on not just financially, but in every aspect of it, and still accomplish all those things that you want to accomplish. Just give it a try. Don't hold back. Just go all in and try it out, and you're going to see that it's going to work. So just encouragement. Like a lot of times I just need some encouragement from somebody who's done it, that they can say, okay, well, if you believe in me, then I'm going to give it a shot.
Great. That's a great segue. And I'll ask Monique first, because she mentioned at one point she did have to take a step back to get more time with her family. So I'll ask, what strategies do you have for maintaining a healthy work-life balance while also pursuing your career goals?
Great question. It's a little bit challenging for me right now because my job is not really a job right now. So it's kind of more fun and exciting. So that work-life balance, luckily enough, I don't feel like I'm working. So I got this amazing balance. So taking a step back, when I first started with Techion, we were a startup. And if anyone knows of a startup, you work basically 24/7. And so doing that for a couple of months, then taking a step back, recognizing that this isn't sustainable. And if I want to continue this path with Techion, I'm not able to do this. So having to, take control of my passions, because my work is my passion as well. So it's not easy, actually, because in my situation, again, it's not really work. It's fun. It's enjoyable. So yeah, I don't know if I could answer that correctly for you.
That's a great answer. How many of us are having fun at work? Because we love what we do. It doesn't feel like work.
I have to say, though, when I was in the parts department, it didn't feel like work either.
Did you say that the parts department is fun?
It was fun. I'm one of those. I'm one of those, yes. The parts department it's amazing. It's so challenging. It's not just selling parts. It's so much more than that.
Parts is not just parts?
No, parts is not parts.
Carol, can I ask you the same question? What strategies do you have for maintaining a healthy work-life balance while also pursuing your career goals?
I will relate. That's probably one of my biggest struggles. I don't have a good work-life balance. I love what I do. So coming out to California, I moved out here by myself, and I was actually excited because I was going to have 0 distractions to open up the store, which means that I should actually have a bedroom at the store. I live there. But when I do realize, and I sit back and realize that you do have to take care of yourself. And sometimes it takes me, a little too long, 6, 7 months, and then it's like, I should really take an extra day off, go do something for myself, something that I enjoy doing. And when I do that, I'm very intentional about it. I have long ways to go. I need to get better at. It's something that I'm continuously working on. But like you say, I really love what I do. So it's when I'm not at work, I'm like, it doesn't feel right. I feel like I need to be doing that. But it's something I'm continuously working on.
Awesome. Justin, may I ask, what resources or tools do you recommend your mentees to support their professional development?
Just constantly being curious. Carol and I had a conversation before she became a general manager just about what she was looking to do and what organization she was a part of. One of them that she wasn't at the time was NAMAD, which is the National Association of Minority Automotive Dealers. Recommended that she became a member, not just for the current state, but where she wanted to go in her career in the future. There's a great network of other minority professionals all over the country that she hadn't tapped into yet. There's great opportunities for minorities to become owners and operators of dealerships through a variety of minority development programs that OEMs provide. So just giving her that little exposure, I guess for me, it's kind of paying it forward, right? It's not something that I thought of or I knew of. Someone at some point, I don't remember who it was, introduced me to NAMAD. And I think that's the best thing that I can continue to do is that as I come across different things, to share them with Carol or other people that have kind of come to me and raised their hand about advice or what to do in their careers is, hey, I just stumbled upon this, or I just read this book, I think I just passed 4 agreements over to her not too long ago, so she knocked that one out in like a day. So just little things. Like there's been so many people that have poured into me, so many resources that I've become aware of. The good ones I kind of filter out and say, hey, I've tried this, I ran into that wall, don't do this one, but this one was really good. This book, this article, this individual you should definitely meet and connect with. They're a good person that can support you in your dreams and in your path and your goals. I hope that answered the question, but that's pretty much the main thing, just kind of paying it forward.
Awesome. Brad, can I ask you the same question? What resources or tools do you recommend to your mentees to support their professional development?
Yeah, in addition to all of like the, going to dealer school and looking at reporting and getting involved in groups, I think like what you said when we started, it takes a village. Like Nick, it's a bus and everybody's on it. And I think encouraging those folks to get in touch with other people that can help guide them and inspire them and that they can lean on when times get tough is super important. So just reaching out to any resources you can, because it takes a village, right? So there's nothing I'm going to do by myself. Everybody's a stepping stone to help everybody get where they're going. And so I think just encouraging them to have resources out there in different industries, and men, women, doesn't matter, to just, hey, have some folks you can call you'll know who to call for the right question.
Absolutely.
So.
Perfect. I want to ask, I love this question. It's my favorite question out of all of them. We'll start with Monique. What advice would you give to your 25-year-old self that can apply to any young women entering your profession or organization?
Great question. What I would ask myself is, are you sure you want to be in automotive? Because once you're in, you can't get out. It's so true, though. I've seen many folk, and even myself, try to get out of the dealership, and you get sucked right back in. But all kidding aside, the advice I would give myself or any other 25-year-old was go for it. Don't second guess yourself. I did that a lot in my career. Like I was confident in myself, but going for it, putting myself out there. Do it. It's might be a little scary, but once you do it, it's uplifting and you realize your potential a lot sooner if it takes you a lot longer, obviously. So yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to have everybody answer that question because I said it's my favorite question. So Justin, tell me, what advice would you give to your 25-year-old self that can apply to any, I'm not going to say young women, any young women or men entering your profession or organization?
Same thing. I would just say go for it. I don't think I ever lacked that mentality. I think the main thing that I would also tell my 25-year-old self is there's a lot that you don't know. You're gonna look at people and work with people and think that you're possibly smarter than them or you could do something better, but you don't know everything that all these managers and general managers and operators are working on a daily basis. And I'm constantly still learning new things. So, as you're going through it and you're going forward, just keep asking questions. Ask questions, put yourself in every room possible, get into the nuances of the business, the things that Brad and I are talking about, having some of those mentors in my life that asked me questions that made me think about things, but just being curious enough to really, as you're going forward, to just find those people and just ask them, hey, what are you working on? How can I help? I remember Tom, Nick's dad, I was talking about the next opportunity in the organization. There's a path on the variable side, and one of those positions was a used car manager. And at the time, there's a gentleman named Matt Schoen, who was the used car manager over at Toyota Marin. And he was kind of the rock star in the organization in that department. And he said, hey, if you want to learn, you should connect with Matt. And shot him an email, said, hey, I want to get into this next position. When can I see you? What do you do? And I actually drove over to Marin before I went to work in Fairfield and met him over here at 6 a.m. and shadowed him as he walked the lot. And he was here at 6 a.m. walking the lot, doing his recon, penciling the cars, talked me through V-Auto, talked me through all these things. But I had to seek him out and raise my hand. So that's what I would encourage my 25-year-old self is just find the people, find the best people in those positions that you're pursuing, find out what their habits are, what's on that checklist that they do on a daily basis because it's intentional. It's a habit that they've created that now is just part of the workflow and it's what makes them the best that they can be in what they do. And just emulate it as best as you can and find ways to improve upon it if there's room to improve upon it.
Beautiful. Carol, I'm going to ask you the same question. What advice would you give to your 25-year-old self that can apply to anyone entering your profession or organization?
I would say believe in yourself and don't make assumptions, or create and open your own doors. I think at the time I was a service advisor and my service manager had been there for 30 years. He had like 20 more years to go. And so I was like, I'm just going to be a service advisor, that's the rest of my career. What am I doing? Luckily, my service manager was a mentor to me as well. And he pushed me to believe in myself that I could become a service manager, that I could get to the next level. But it took that for me to believe in myself and that I could do it. So I would say, believe in yourself, don't make assumptions on, what was going to be your career, create your own doors, open up your own doors, make it happen.
All right, and Brad, what advice would you give to your 25-year-old self that can apply to anyone entering your profession?
I was hoping that we wouldn't have to answer that one, so I was excited we didn't. But I would say this, knowing me when I was 25, I wouldn't have listened to any advice anyway. But what I would say, if given the opportunity, is just you don't have anything to prove.
Yeah.
So just race your own race and, be yourself and don't try to worry about what you think you need to do because we get in that mode where we think we have to impress people or we have to achieve certain milestones. Just take a deep breath, race your own race, lean in on your faith, and it'll work out.
Beautiful. Well, I'm sorry to say that's the end of our panel. I could be up here all day with these four. Let's give them a round of applause.